Hello, everyone, and thank you for viewing my presentation. My name is Anna Markin, and I plan to become an ESL teacher who lives and works in mainland China, teaching elementary level Chinese students. Throughout this presentation, I will describe my vision statement as it pertains to what it means to be culturally aware in this field of work. First, before understanding what it means to be culturally aware, it is important to understand the definition of culture and how it can be efficiently examined. According to the study performed by Golnick and Chen, culture is defined as the way people think, behave, and feel within a group and includes individuals' practices, beliefs, ideas, and artifacts. These are passed on from generation to generation among the people who reside within those said groups. Within China, student culture is rigorously standardized and controlled by the federal Chinese government, as young students are pushed towards global academic success. This means that students are often taught how to perform well on standardized tests, but are not regularly encouraged to find alternative methods of learning. However, in my ESL classroom, I anticipate having a diverse community of learners who all learn, thrive, and explore in different ways. I wish to encourage this personal journey of self-discovery and personalized education by providing opportunities for my students to learn through various educational methods. This way, every student can have an opportunity to learn in a manner that appeals to their own personal interests and learning styles that's not through testing standards. The hidden curriculum is defined as the unofficial, unspoken, unwritten, and unintentional lessons or values that are taught to students within their learning environment. So while the formal curriculum consists of the course's lessons, activities, skills, and knowledge taught by the teacher, the hidden curriculum is the unspoken or implicit academic, social, and cultural messages that's being communicated to the students. Within an ESL classroom, a major component of this hidden curriculum usually involves the inclusion of Western culture into the learning space so that students may explore the cultural meaning of the language. I anticipate this will ultimately be beneficial to the learning process, as students will have a deeper understanding and appreciation for English, as they can make personal connections to the various cultures that is related to it. Designing and utilizing an efficient learning environment is incredibly important to the educational experience because the learning space sets the expectation for what is to occur during class time. As stated in Learning Through Landscapes, quote, the physical design of the grounds and the elements within them conveyed messages and meanings to the children about the intentions of those who manage the school in terms of what children are supposed to do and not to do and how the grounds should be used, unquote. Therefore, in my future classroom, I intend on cultivating a space that has an allotted space in place for every activity. This will give an unspoken structure to class where students can independently guide themselves in their learning through the environment and feel comfortable within it. There will be desks arranged in a horseshoe formation for class lecture and group discussions, art tables for group crafting projects, the corner reading nook for story time, and my desk will be separated for personal work outside of class. In conjunction with this, material culture will play a big role in this educational space as I intend to provide Western cultural materials to the class so that they can interpret Western culture as they learn. As explained from the ESL teacher resource site, Busy Teacher, quote, if you have foreign students who know little about American or English culture, put up posters or illustrations to give them a feel for what they will be talking about. Try photos or major American cities, typical English locations, foods, festivals, celebrations, etc. You may choose to give them an overview of what learning English is all about, unquote. This can include everyday classroom materials such as posters, books, worksheets, videos, and songs to help students interpret the cultural meaning of the class content that they are learning about. Unfortunately, the harsh reality of the educational achievement gap applies to Chinese students just as much as it applies to American students. The American Institutes of Research defines the achievement gap as the academic performance disparity that is found between various student groups, and in China, the greatest disparity is found among students who live in urban centers and students who reside in rural areas of the country. It is my goal to return to China and promote the closure of this achievement gap by seeking opportunities to teach in rural areas. Bridging this educational gap will help students to access more opportunities for obtaining a higher level of education or reaching a more or reaching more lucrative work fields. Another component that plays to this achievement gap is the cultural bias that surrounds students who live in rural areas of China. Among Chinese people, there is a common misconception that poor people who live in the countryside are inherently less intelligent than those who live in the city. It is also widely thought that people who live in rural areas value education less than most people because they choose to limit their educational opportunities. As we learned in our lesson in Lecture 4, this is not true because race and culture do not cause achievement gaps, and these assumptions work against the people within these groups. There is another unfortunate truth to the reality of living and working in China, and it is the non-inclusionary culture that surrounds people living with physical or mental disabilities. As explored in Lesson 5, each culture has its own sets of standards for individual skills and attitudes that are more valued. But when individuals fall short of these cultural expectations, they can be left behind and rewarded less than others. Within Chinese culture, there are high standards placed upon people to work hard and do well in the betterment of the entire country. So, when special needs individuals require additional support or resources, they are sometimes regarded as burdens or unworthy of help. This is incredibly disheartening as it leaves millions of people behind in academic and professional fields due to their disabilities. As an ESL teacher, I will aim to remove this stigma from within my classroom, and I will actively work with students who need additional support so that they may reach their fullest potential. Teaching ESL is a unique educational experience because it tends to be a more physical form of teaching than teaching most other subjects. Due to the language barrier, ESL teachers need to utilize various physical props and tools to guide the class. This typically includes tools like flashcards, worksheets, educational videos, but it can also include various forms of pop culture. Pop culture can be used as a very effective tool in the ESL classroom because it is fun and engaging, and it's a great way to bring current events, fads, and ideas to the context of English lessons. Things like movie scenes, pop songs, television shows, video games, and comics can all be used to make subject content relatable and interesting for students. It also gives them more familiarity to the culture in which the media comes from, which is very insightful and meaningful to the learning process. Furthermore, rituals are another essential tool to the ESL classroom as it can aid in student comfortability, teachers' time management for lessons, and overall class behavioral management. A huge portion of a student's day is spent in the confines of a classroom. So whether habits, skills, rituals, sorry, whatever habits, skills, rituals, and routines they pick up, they will carry on into their personal lives. As explained on the Scholastic site, including a variety of rituals and routines in your program can help children feel safe, secure, and ready to learn. The more structured, guided, and predictable a learning environment can be, then the easier it will be for the learning to take place. Cultural awareness can be broken up into two separate categories, the tangible and the intangible. Geneva Gay describes such. The tangible I would translate to say the crafts, the music, the art, the technology. And these are all important, but I think the more important are the intangible, and those are the values, beliefs, feelings, opinions, perspectives, and assumptions. Unquote. Therefore, culturally responsive teaching should consist of both physical and non-physical concepts of understanding culture. This means activities that include exploration of food, music, holidays, and so on, but also can also include deeper dives into Western schools of thought. This can enhance and this can be enhanced and considered by students as they hold their own dialogues on the subjects, research topics on their own, and seek out answers to their questions about what interests them most in the studied culture. The overarching goal of teaching ESL is to provide a quality language education that is based equally in language acquisition and cultural understanding. According to the Internet TESOL Journal, quote, in brief, ESL teachers should create a classroom environment where students have real-life communication, authentic activities, meaningful tasks that promote oral language, unquote. This mission reflects Oh, this mission for ESL teachers can only be accomplished through the consideration of culture because that is what reflects students' real life opinions, interests, and experiences. A culturally responsive education is vital in the field of ESL learning because it is ultimately what will cultivate an impactful and substantial educational experience. Thank you so much for viewing my presentation. I hope that you enjoy learning about my vision statement and how it applies to cultural awareness as an ESL teacher in China.